Hello everyone and welcome back to the Solo Gamers Club. Tonight we're going to be presenting episode 2 of our playthrough of Eldritch Horror against Hypnos. Before we begin, I have a couple corrections from the previous video, and we'll take care of those first. In the first video, when we resolved our second Mythos card, I had a problem in editing, and that ended up causing me a problem when I returned to the game. I ended up placing opening two gates during the same turn, and that gate opened in Arkham. So that gate should not have opened at that time. I should have just had the gate that we opened in the Amazon. So subsequent to that gate in Arkham, another gate was opened in Celephus. So the gate in Celephus should not be there. We're going to remove that for the time being. We'll put that back onto the top of the gate stack. It will be coming out in the next Mythos card that would be appropriate. Now during the third Mythos card, a gate did open in Arkham and a monster was guarding it. Gloria Goldberg was able to, by use of one of the card actions on the Mythos card, get rid of the monster there. So we are correct in how that situation worked out. So right now the board position is we have gates open in the Amazon, Arkham, and the Pyramids, which that Pyramids gate is open in the Dreamlands, in the Underworld. And so everything is back the way that it should have been. I had one other oversight, and we'll take care of that next. In the first video, Tommy Muldoon gained 2 spells and he should have discarded one of them. So in this case, I kept both the Dread Curse and the Voice of Ra. We're going to discard the Dread Curse and we'll keep just the Voice of Ra. So we're back and ready to proceed. We'll begin with our lead investigator, and that is Daisy Walker. She has 2 resources, 1 focus, and a clue. But she is carrying this Dark Pact, and there's not much we're going to be able to do about that. Every Reckoning phase we're going to be rolling a die in. On a roll of 1, that is going to activate. She currently has a total of 7 sanity, and she's got 5 health, so she's full capacity. She's also carrying a hallucination condition. I think for Daisy's first action, we're going to have her do a rest action. She won't be able to recover any health or sanity, but it will be a way for us to get rid of this, possibly get rid of this hallucinations condition. During a rest action, we're going to roll a die, and on a 5 or 6, we can discard it. So here is the roll. She's rolled a 2, so that was ineffective. I think for her second action, she's going to travel along the rail line to Tunguska. We have a clue there, and we've also got the expedition, so we'll have her move there. Next up is Leo Anderson. He has a clue and a resource. He's carrying an amnesia condition and a terror condition. Now, he is currently detained. So all he can do is perform the local action. He can attempt an influence roll, and if he can pass it, we can discard the detained condition and then take our second action. Otherwise, his action phase will end. So Leo's going to begin. He is in Indonesia right now, and he'll attempt to get rid of this detained condition. And we're going to end up making an influence roll. His influence is currently 2. So here is his influence test. And he has failed it. He's got a 4 and a 1. That's going to end his activation. All he can do is the detained condition. Gloria Goldberg is up next. She is in Arkham. She has a focus and a resource. She has 4 health and 6 sanity. Now she's carrying a despair condition, so that's going to prevent her from recovering any sanity during a rest action. So even though we'd like to rest her, that condition will prevent that. For her first action, she is going to focus, so we're going to give her a second focus token. I think for her second action, she's going to utilize her Mythos Codex. And it says, as an action, you must muster the courage to look upon the secrets of the universe. She's going to do a test for willpower. Her willpower is currently 3, so she gets 3 dice for the test. We have 2 focus tokens. And she's passed it. She's got 2 successes. And that says if you pass, the pages contain knowledge your mind can hardly fathom. Flip the card. All right, let's see what she comes up with here. And that says, we've read through this before, but we can resolve one effect of your choice. We can either spend a sanity to improve lore and then flip the card, or we can gain a glamour, incantation, and ritual spell and then discard the card. And I think we're going to do that. So we're going to gain one of each of those kinds of spells, and then we will discard the Mythos Codex. So Gloria is going to gain the following spells. She's going to get an incantation, Instill Bravery. She's going to gain a ritual called Banishment, and she'll gain a glamour spell called Enchant Weapon. That was a pretty good haul for her. All right, Tommy Muldoon is up next. He's currently in Chicago in Space 5. He's carrying an internal injury and a hallucination. So I think he is going to start out with a rest action. And the internal injury, when we take a rest action, we can roll a die, and a 5 or 6 we can discard it. Same for the hallucination. So I think what he'll do, he can, against Hypnos, we can choose either sanity or health to repair. So let's see how he's doing so far. He's got 7 health and he's got 5 sanity. So we can't improve anything in that condition, but we will take the rest action to try to get rid of these injuries. So we'll make a roll for his internal injury first. We need a 5 or 6. Got a 3. Next we will roll for the hallucinations. And we've got a 6, so we're able to discard the hallucination condition. That's great. I think for his second action, he's going to travel to Arkham. He'll meet up with Gloria Goldberg, and we'll see what happens. Next up, we will resolve the encounters, starting with Daisy Walker. She's in Tunguska. Now, there is a clue there, but in order for us to add that clue towards our mystery, it has to be collected from a city, and obviously Tunguska isn't a city. So I think in this case, Daisy is going to undertake the expedition encounter. And that encounter reads, you encounter a craft built for traveling through space, but the radiation in the area seems to have killed most of the Migo inside. You look through their equipment, but being in the area makes you feel sick. Test strength. Well, unfortunately, Daisy has a strength of only 1. So we'll have her attempt the test. She has 1 focus token. And she's rolled a 6. She's passed it, so we will move on to the pass condition. It says you find a map that shows occult events. Gain 1 clue. All right. So we've given Daisy a clue from the draw bag, and we'll continue reading. You look for more maps. Test observation. Well, Daisy has an observation level of 2. So we will have her roll 2 dice for the test. And she's rolled 2 successes. That is awesome. If you pass, you use them to coordinate your fight. Advance the active mystery by 1. Wow. Advancing the active mystery is absolutely awesome. It means we're going to be able to place a clue token on our mystery, the Dreamwalker. So we'll place a clue from the bag on there, and now all we need is 1 more clue to solve that. And we have to pick that up, though, in a city. All right. Checking the top of the expedition deck, we find out that the expedition is going to return to Antarctica. All right, Leo Anderson is up next. He is currently in Indonesia, but unfortunately, he is detained. So instead of resolving an encounter, we have to flip that detained card, and we will read that. And the card reads, Contaminated Water. Your captors question you for days without food or water. The only source of water you can find in your cell comes from a rusty pipe in the wall. Spend a clue or test observation -1. Okay, that is our choice. Our observation is currently 3. So I think Leo is going to just spend the clue. That will ensure that we will have passed that condition. And that says, spend 1 clue or test observation -1. So in this case, we can discard the card. So that is good. All right, next up is Gloria Goldberg, and she's in Arkham. And I think she is going to attempt to close the gate in Arkham. And that gate card is the Great Hall of Saleno. Something terrible happened in this section of the library. The walls are scorched. Most of the books are ruined, and the shelves seem on the brink of collapse. The smell of burnt flesh threatens to overwhelm you. Test willpower. All right, Gloria has a willpower of 3, and she has a passive ability. And that says, you and other investigators on your space roll 1 additional die when resolving a test during an otherworld encounter. And that is great. So she's going to be rolling 4 dice for this test. She has 2 focus tokens. Okay, here is the roll. And she's got the success. So we will read the success portion. You endure the scent and find the book you seek. Gain 1 random tome asset from the deck. All right. And she's going to gain a scroll of secrets. When you gain this card from the deck or the reserve, gain a clue. Outstanding. All right, so we're going to give a clue to Gloria Goldberg. That's her first clue. And then we'll continue reading. The text includes a cryptic warning. Test lore. Okay, her lore right now is currently at 4. 3 plus an improvement. And then she will also gain that passive ability because we're resolving a test in another world. So that'll give her 5 dice for this test. So we're going to get an extra die out, and we will roll 5 dice for her test. And she's rolled 4 successes. That says, if you pass, you disarm the arcane traps, close the gate. All right, so we've closed the gate in Arkham. It's going to help us quite a bit, and Gloria definitely did her job. All right, Tommy Muldoon is up next. He's also in Arkham. And I probably should have used the local path during his action phase to move him to the moon. But I did not do that, so we won't reinvent the wheel here. Tommy will take a generic city action, I think, instead of taking the Arkham action. He doesn't do too well with spells, and the primary position in Arkham would be to gain incantation spells. So I'll have him do a generic city action. And the generic city encounter reads, a secret society made up of the city's wealthiest elites contacts you with an invitation. They would like to initiate you into their inner circle. You may gain a dark pact condition to gain a promise of power condition. Well, I don't care for those dark pacts too much, so we're going to pass on that. And that is going to bring the encounter phase to a close. We'll move on to the Mythos phase. That will be resolved by our lead investigator, Daisy Walker. All right, we're in stage 2 right now of Hypnos' Mythos cards. And we end up drawing Righteous Calling. All right, we're going to advance the Omen track. That's going to go from blue to green. Fortunately, there are no green gates out on the board. Next, we're going to have a Monster Surge. Well, we have no gates that correspond to that color, so there will be no Monster Surges, but in place of that, we have to spawn a new gate. And the new gate is going to be going into, as we figured from before, Celephus. That'll be out on the Dreamlands board. So a gate in Celephus opens, and a Honored Dead appears through the gate as well. Now that has a reckoning effect and a placement effect. So let's see what's happening on the back of this token. It says when this monster is spawned, move it to the pyramids. All right, so we'll move that to the pyramids, and its reckoning effect is going to be roll a die during reckoning effects. On a 1 or 2, the nearest investigator gains a curse condition. So that's something we're probably going to have to try to deal with. We don't want that happening. So that monster will go to the pyramids. Next, we're going to spawn 2 clues, and our clues are going to go in space 6 and in Rome. Okay, so we'll place those in those locations. Space 6 is very close to us in Arkham with Gloria Goldberg and Tommy Muldoon, and that's a city location. So that might be a good target for us to try to solve that first mystery. So we'll place these clues accordingly, and now we will continue on with the event. And that reads, in the sacred houses around the world, a small candle burns next to newspaper clippings of your exploits. Stories of your struggle get passed from city to city. Your work has not gone unseen. This is called righteous calling. Each investigator may spend a clue to gain a boon condition. All right. And we'll begin with Daisy Walker. She's going to spend a clue, and she will get a boon, and this boon is righteous. When you perform a focus action or a rest action, gain 1 focus or recover a sanity. During encounters, or I should say reckoning, we have to flip the card. All right. Leo doesn't have any clue tokens, so he won't be able to take part in this. Next is Gloria Goldberg, and she has a clue, and I think she will do it. Boons are pretty good. We'll spend the clue, and she gains the boon Blessed, and she's going to be successful on 4s, 5s, and 6s. Now we'll be able to use our blue Eldritch dice for her. That's great. And finally, we have Tommy Muldoon. He has a clue. He will spend it, and he's going to gain a boon. And this time, he gets the Righteous card. When you perform a focus action or rest, gain a focus or recover a sanity. And then during reckonings, flip the card. All right. And I have to say, we're getting awfully lucky with these Mythos cards. The only cards that I have withheld from the Mythos deck are the difficult cards that are contained in the blue deck. Those I've removed, but all the other cards are random cards. And we're getting pretty fortunate with the easier of the Mythos cards. We'll continue on now. Our last decision is if we choose to want to move the lead investigator token. And I don't think we'll move the lead investigator. We'll keep it with Daisy Walker, and we'll continue with our next turn. All right, Daisy is up in Tunguska, and I'd like to get rid of this honored dead that is in the pyramids, but I don't think Daisy is the correct character for that. I think we're going to use Leo for that. He has some hired muscle that he can use. So I think we will attempt to use him for that duty. Daisy is going to stay in Tunguska, and she'll probably try to go after that clue token. I think she's going to begin by doing a rest action, and we'll see if we can allow her to get rid of this hallucinations card. She doesn't need any healing. She's at full capacity on health and sanity, but we can use it to try to get rid of that card. Roll a d6, and on a 5 or 6, we can discard it. She's rolled a 6. That's great. We can discard the hallucination. Awesome. And I think for her second action, she is going to gain a focus. Now for Leo, I think we're going to try to get him towards the pyramids. So, well, we're not going to be able to use sea travel to get there, so we need rail. So I think what we'll do is have him do a travel action. He'll move to Bombay. And then for his second action, I think I will have him focus, and we'll give him a focus token. He has a focus and a resource now. And I think I'm going to scratch that. Instead of taking the focus, we're going to have him do a rest action there, and we'll see if he can possibly get rid of his terror and amnesia cards that he has. He's got 2 conditions on him. So we'll start out by making a roll for the terror. Right now he has a total of 6 health and 5 sanity. So he could recover a sanity theoretically, but with the terror condition it says that you cannot recover sanity. So we'll try to get rid of both the terror and the amnesia. Here's the roll for terror. We need a 4, 5, or 6. And he's rolled a 1. For the amnesia, we have to roll a 5 or 6. And he's failed both of those. All right, so that will finish the turn for Leo. Gloria Goldberg is up next, and I think we're going to have her go after that clue in Houston. So we'll have her do a travel action. She'll move to Houston, and I think she is going to prepare for travel for a future turn, and she's going to gain a rail ticket. She already has 2 focus and a resource, and she's blessed. And finally, we've got Tommy Muldoon. He's in Arkham, and I think he's going to use the local path to go to the moon. That's free. So Tommy enters the moon. He had no action spent yet. So I think he's going to take the ship route to Dilathaline. We'll have him travel there. That is also a city location, and it has a clue. All right, Daisy is in Tunguska, and for her encounter, she's going to do a research encounter, and we'll have her draw a research card. Attempt to get that clue. All right, Tunguska is wilderness, so we'll be reading the wilderness portion. It says, as you enter a relatively untraveled area of the woods, a quiet but irresistible voice in your head urges you to dig. Test strength -1. Well, once again, Daisy is plagued with a lack of strength, so she's only going to be able to roll 1 dice. That is her default level. Let's see what happens. She does have 2 focus. She's rolled a 5. She's passed it. And it says, if you pass, you excavate the bust of some unknown Greek deity. Gain this clue. All right, that is awesome. So even with her lack of strength, she was able to complete her mission. So we'll give her the clue token. That's her 2nd clue now. Fortunately, we can't place that on the Dreamwalker mystery yet, because that's got to come from a city location. We're hoping that Gloria Goldberg or Tommy Muldoon will be able to do so. Next up is Leo Anderson. He's in Bombay, and he'll be taking a generic city encounter. And that encounter reads, legends say that this cemetery is haunted. Exploring the headstones, you encounter an angry specter, eager to share his story. The experience is nerve-wracking, but you try to listen. Test willpower. All right, Leo has a willpower of 3. And here's the test. And he has no success. And unfortunately, he has no focus tokens to use. So we'll have to read what the fail part of this is. And it says, if you fail, his desperate voice echoes in your mind. Gain a paranoia condition. Oh boy. So old Leo is having some psychological problems. He's got paranoia, terror, and amnesia. Not good. Next is Gloria Goldberg. She's in Houston, and she's going to attempt to acquire that clue token with research. If we can gain that, we'll be able to apply it to our mystery, and we'll solve it at the end of the round. And the research card reads, someone has gone missing after several nights of sleepwalking, and you help search for him. Test observation -1. Okay, Gloria has an observation level of 3. So that's going to allow Gloria 2 dice for the test. Now she's blessed, so we're going to be able to use our blue Eldritch dice now. And that's going to help quite a bit. means that she'll be successful on 4s, 5s, and 6s. Now she has 2 focus tokens. Here's her roll. And she's got it. She's got the 6. So we will read the pass condition. It says if you pass, you find him sleeping in a tree, and he tells you about his adventures in the land of dreams. Gain this clue. Awesome. So, once again, Gloria Goldberg comes through, and she gains the clue token, and we're going to apply that clue to the mystery, the Dreamwalker mystery. We gained it in a city. All right. Tommy Muldoon is up. He is in the Dreamlands in Dilath Lean. It's a city. His choices would be either the research action or to take a Dilath Lean encounter, which is geared towards gaining assets. And I think he's going to take that option. We've already gotten the clues that we need to solve the first mystery, so that clue there, we will just leave that there. And I think he is going to take a Dilath Lean encounter. And the encounter reads, you meet a dreamer intent on going to the moon, and you try to talk him out of it. Test influence. Well, Tommy's doing very well in the influence department. He's got a 3, and he's also got a +1 improvement there. So we get 4 dice for the test. And here's the roll. And he has a success, a 5. We'll read on. If you pass, he offers you a gift for your warning. Gain 1 random item asset from the deck. Okay. And Tommy receives an enchanted jewelry item, magical relic. If you would lose sanity, you may spend 1 focus to prevent the loss of up to 2 sanity. That is pretty good. And that sanity is kind of his Achilles. He only has a sanity of 5, so that's a good card for him. We'll move on to the Mythos phase, and that's going to be resolved by Daisy Walker. And she draws the Mythos card down the rabbit hole. We're going to begin with an Omen Track advancement. And we're going to be moving that from the green to the blue star pattern. We have 1 gate on the board, 1 blue gate. That's open in the underworld, and that's to the pyramid. So we're going to be losing 1 on the Doom track. It's going to move us from 8 down to 7. And then we have to resolve our reckonings, and there's going to be a ton of them. We'll begin with resolving monster reckonings. First one is in the Amazon, and that's that zombie horde that is there. During reckonings, we're going to roll a die, and on a 1 or 2, the Doom will move by 1. So, not good. And here is our roll. We rolled a 5, so we're safe for the moment. Next is a Honored Dead at the Pyramids. That also has a reckoning effect. And that one says, roll a die at a 1 or 2, the nearest investigator gains a curse condition. And that's going to be Leo Anderson, if that's true. He has enough problems. He doesn't need any extra. So hopefully we don't roll a 1 or 2. We've rolled a 5, so Leo has escaped that for the time being. And I believe that is all the monsters on the board. Next will be the Ancient One, and Hypnos' ability during reckonings is each investigator moves a space toward the nearest space on the Dreamlands, unless he spends a sanity. Okay, we'll begin with Daisy Walker, and she's currently in Tunguska. I don't have a problem with her moving towards the nearest Dreamlands, so that'll be towards the pyramids, and she'll move to space 16. We won't spend any sanity. Next is Leo Anderson. He'll move towards the pyramids. He's going there anyway, so we'll move him to Istanbul. Gloria Goldberg would have to move to Arkham, and we'll do so. And Tommy Muldoon is already in the Dreamlands. He's at Dilath Lean, so we don't need to go any further than that. Next is our active Mythos cards, and we have one. That's that Mission Dolores. During reckonings, it says each investigator gains 1 madness condition unless he discards an item or trinket possession. Discard the Eldritch token from the card. So we are going to be discarding the Eldritch token, and then it's going to set off the ongoing condition. So first, we have to have each investigator either gain a madness or discard an item or trinket. Well, Daisy has nothing to discard, so she will be gaining a madness condition. And Daisy is going to gain an amnesia condition. All right, next up is Leo Anderson. He has nothing to discard, so he will also gain another condition. And in this case, he gains terror. He already has that. Yeah, checking the rules, if you already have a condition and you draw another one, nothing else happens. So he will just keep the terror condition that he has. Gloria Goldberg does have an item she could get rid of, and that's the Scroll of Secrets. It's currently giving her +2 to lore when solving spell effects. So the choice would be to either gain the madness condition or to get rid of that Scroll of Secrets. She currently has a bless condition and a despair. So I think I will do it. I'm going to discard the Scroll of Secrets for her to prevent that. And finally, Tommy Muldoon. He does have the carbine rifle and the enchanted jewelry, so he could get rid of one of those to prevent taking another condition. I think he will. I'll have him discard the enchanted jewelry. It is actually pretty powerful, but I don't want to gain any more of these conditions. It's kind of overwhelming me as it is. And finally, now we have removed the last Eldritch token from the card, so it says when there are no Eldritch tokens on this card, for each item or trinket possession an investigator has, he loses a sanity unless he discards the possession, and then solve the rumor. So, in that case, Daisy Walker has no items or trinkets, so she's good. Leo Anderson has no items or trinkets. Gloria Goldberg has no items or trinkets. Finally, we've got Tommy Muldoon. He has a carbine rifle, so I'm going to have him discard a sanity, moving him down to 4, and then we'll finally get rid of this rumor. And next part of our resolving reckonings is possessions and conditions. We'll begin with Daisy Walker. She just received the amnesia during the reckoning phase, so she won't have to resolve that, but the Dark Pact and the Righteousness will have to. So we'll begin with the Righteousness, and that says you may flip this card during the Righteousness aspects of the turn. I don't know if I should. I think I'll pass. So we'll keep the card unflipped, and now we will make a roll for the Dark Pact. On a roll of 1, we're going to have to fulfill our part of the bargain. And of course, it's a 1. What did I tell you? And these are never going to be good. And it reads, 1 of the 1,000. The chanting reaches a fever pitch. The cult leader places a ritual dagger in your hand and tells you, the time has come. You must pay the blood you owe to the children of the Black Goat. Another investigator of your choice is devoured. Then discard the card. Oh my goodness. This is why, folks, I do not enjoy Dark Pacts. Oh boy. So we've got to have one of our investigators devoured. Oh boy. Well, I hate to say it, but I think the devoured investigator is going to be old Leo Anderson. He's been having some problems, and I think if anybody is going to get devoured, it's going to be him. So I'm going to have to read up on how this works with him being devoured, and then we will continue on. Well, how it's going to work is Leo is basically obliterated. He's going to lose all of his cards. He'll be removed from the game, and the Doom track is going to drop by 1. That's going to move it down to 6. So we say goodbye to old Leo Anderson, and we will continue on. Gloria Goldberg is up next. And she has 3 different reckoning effects that we have to resolve. The first is this enchant weapon. Test lore and flip the card. Her lore is a 4. And she has 1 success. So we'll flip the card and look under 1 success. It says, controlling the magic is stressful. Loses sanity. Okay, that'll move her sanity down to 4. That's not too good. Next is this despair. And it says lose 1 sanity during reckoning effects. So we have to lose another one. We're down to 3 now. Wow. All right. And then finally, the blessed condition. Roll a die. On a 1 or 2, discard the card. All right. And she's rolled a 3, so she can keep the blessed condition. The only way to get rid of this despair is to perform a rest action and then flip the card. So I probably should have done that. That's a little bit of an oversight on my part. So I think it's best to deal with those immediately and get rid of them. Okay, that finishes up Gloria, and we'll move on to Tommy Muldoon. All right, Tommy has several cards here, and I think we'll start with the internal injury. He needs to test strength, and if he fails, he'll have to flip the card. His strength is 3. Okay, here is his roll. He's failed. So I could have him spend a focus and try to roll. I guess we will. We'll try it. We'll spend a focus. And he still failed, so we'll be flipping the card. And it says, the pain in your gut continues to grow as your fever worsens. You know for sure now that this was no mere injury. Gain an illness condition and then discard this card. Oh my goodness. And he gains the illness poisoned. When you perform a rest action, you cannot recover health nor sanity. Flip this card, and during reckoning effects, he'll be losing health. So we have to kind of use these with a rest action and just accept whatever happens. We have to get rid of that. Otherwise, it's going to be a slow drain on us. Okay, next up is righteous. And that says you may flip the card. I don't know if we should or not. I'm not sure of the effect. I guess we'll try it. And that says, that which does not kill us. The horrid creature wraps its foul tendril around your leg, pulling you into the dark. I'm not dying here, you shout, firing into the beast's flesh until it releases you. After escaping, you feel as though you could take on any threat. Discard any number of your conditions, or improve 2 skills of your choice. Then discard this card. Wow, that's pretty good. Well, I think we're going to get rid of the conditions. I wish we had more of them, but I'm going to get rid of the poison condition. We'll do that. So both of these are gone now. I should have probably done that righteous card for Daisy Walker. Well, we'll do that next time. And finally, he has the voice of Ra. It says test lore and flip the card. So his lore is currently 2. He has no successes, and that says, you hear the voice in your head at all times, lose 1 sanity, and gain a madness condition unless you discard the card. Well, we're discarding the card, so that will finish up the items and conditions portion of the reckoning effects. Returning to the Mythos card, we're instructed to spawn a gate, and this time it's going into London. So the gate spawns in London. That's a blue gate, and a leopard man comes out. It has a condition when it's spawned. And that says, when this monster is spawned, move it to the heart of Africa. Then search the deck, and I'll have to get that up closer to me. I can't quite see it. Then search the deck for a Heart of Africa expedition encounter. Shuffle the deck and place that card on top. Okay, so it's moving the expedition to the Heart of Africa is what's happening. And we'll move on to the event, and that reads, you see more than just other worlds. You can see the space between worlds. You feel with a crushing certainty that it is in this other space that you will find the answers you need. You believe that the only way to restore sanity is to dive headfirst into madness. Down the rabbit hole. Each investigator on a space containing a gate may gain a lost in time and space condition to close the gate on his space. We have no investigators on spaces with gates, so that won't do us any good. That's going to bring the Mythos phase to a close, and now we have to get a new character to replace Leo Anderson. All right, our replacement investigator is going to be Mark Harrigan. He's going to start out with a .38 revolver asset and a kerosene asset, and he'll begin in Northern Europe, Space 14. And just in case the viewers are interested, I must have spent a half hour looking for this kerosene item card. I went through the item deck probably twice, and that's not a small deck. I went through every deck, the spells, unique items, all of that. And where was it? It was out on the reserve. So if you're ever looking for a card, be sure to check your reserve because you tend to forget about it. It could be there. Mark's stats are 8 health and 4 sanity, and he's especially good at strength, and that's why I took him. And that is to kind of deal with some of these tougher monsters that we have on the board. That's what my hope is. So Mark is going to start in Space 14, and I'm going to probably try to get him to maybe take care of these more difficult monsters that we have, the zombie horde in the Amazon and this honored dead at the pyramids. That's going to bring the turn to a close, and we'll begin with a new round. So it's the end of the Mythos phase, and we'll check to see if we have completed this mission. It says, at the end of the Mythos phase, if there are clues on this card equal to half the number of investigators, solve the mystery. Well, we've done it. We've got 2 there, so you consume those 2 clues, and we've completed our first of 3 mysteries. And now we will reveal our next mystery. Let's see what we've got here. This time we've got Master of Dreams. The Lord of the Dreamlands beckons to those who would listen. Those who dream wake with wounds akin to those sustained in their dreams, and those who wake dream of lands far beyond their kin. All right. When this card enters play, each investigator moves the nearest clue on the main board to a space on the Dreamlands sideboard that does not contain a clue. All right, well, let's do that. Let's see how many clues we have here on the board. We've got 1 in Rome. We've got 1 in the heart of Africa. And there's 1 in Space 12. And I believe that that is all of the clues. So we're going to move them to spaces on the Dream board, the Dreamlands board. I guess we'll put 1 in the Enchanted Wood, the Moon, and in Ulthar. Then it says, after an investigator resolves a research encounter, he can spend 1 clue he gained from that encounter and a sanity to place that clue on this card. At the end of the Mythos phase, if there are clues on this card equal to the number of investigators, solve the mystery. All right. So this is the current layout of the Dreamlands board, and we're ready to begin our next turn. Okay, we're going to begin with our lead investigator. That's Daisy Walker. She currently has a amnesia madness condition, and we might be able to do something about that if we take a rest action. She's at full health and full sanity, so let's see what we'll do. Well, I think I'm going to have her do a travel action, and she'll travel to Istanbul. That'll get her within 1 space of the pyramids and that honored dead. I'm going to probably let Mark Harrigan try to take care of that honored dead. In fact, we should take probably a closer look at that and see what exactly we have to do to defeat this thing. It has a will test with 2 horror, strength -1 with 3 damage, and 3 toughness. So it's not overly bad. I think Harrigan will be able to handle that. Okay, so she's moved into Istanbul, and I think for her second action, she's going to do a rest action. She won't recover anything, but she can attempt to get rid of this amnesia condition. And we'll have her make a roll on a 5 or 6. She can discard it. A lot of madness conditions associated with Hypnos. Okay, here we go. She's rolled a 6, and we can get rid of it. That is awesome. Get rid of that amnesia. All right, next up is Mark Harrigan. He's in Northern Europe, and I think we'll have him do a travel action. We'll move him to Rome, and then I think from that point he will focus, and we'll give him a focus token. Next up is Gloria Goldberg. She's in Arkham right now, and we could have her use that local path to go to the moon. There is a clue there, and we could start working on that second mystery. That's a possibility. We have this issue with the zombie horde down in the Amazon, but Gloria is not the character to deal with that. She has a very poor strength of 1. So the choice, I think, would either be to have her go to the moon and try to get a clue token there, or have her move to London, where she can try to deal with that gate that's open. Currently, we are on the blue gate symbol, so we would have two cards before we would re-encounter a blue gate problem on the Omen track. So I think in this case, I'm going to have Gloria take the local path to the moon. So Gloria will appear in the moon, and then I think she is going to take a rest action. Now, she currently has a despair condition. It says, when you perform a rest action, you cannot recover sanity. Flip the card. Well, she's already at 4 health, and she's down to 3 sanity. So we can't recover sanity, but I'm going to take the rest action, and then we can try to deal with this despair. And it says flip the card. So let's see what happens. Maybe we can get rid of this. That reads, never-ending suffering. The agony of living in such a cruel world is a fate worse than death. At every waking moment, you think only of putting an end to your miserable existence. She has to test willpower -1. Okay, her willpower is 3. -1 is 2, and she's blessed, so we'll be able to use the blessed dice, the blue ones. And she does have 2 focus tokens. So here is her roll. And she's passed it. She's got a 4 and a 5, which are successes. Let's read on. If you pass, discard this card. Okay, so we've done it. That is awesome. Now she can start healing her sanity damage in the future turns. All right, next up is Tommy Muldoon. Now he is in a space with a clue token, so we're going to leave him there. And let's see how he's doing on his health and sanity. His health is at 7. Sanity at 4. So I guess he will take a rest action, and he'll be able to recover 1 sanity. For his second action, he's going to focus. Okay, that's going to bring our character's actions to a close, and we'll move on to the encounters, beginning with Daisy Walker. She's in Istanbul. All right, Daisy is in Istanbul, and she's going to have an Istanbul encounter. And that reads, at the serpent columns, you find a collapsed figure bitten on the wrist by a snake. As you suck out the venom, it begins affecting your mind. Test will -1. Okay, Daisy has a willpower of 3. So that's going to give her 2 dice for the test. And here's her will test. And she has 1 success. So we'll continue reading. It says, if you pass, you save a life. Gain 1 character unique asset. That is awesome. She gains the character unique asset Randolph Carter, ally character. Gain +2 to lore and +2 to will. Once per round during the action phase, you may reveal the top gate in the gate stack. If you do, you may put it on the bottom or of the gate stack. That's great. Excellent. All right, next up is Mark Harrigan, the soldier. He's in Rome, and we'll have him take a Rome encounter. And that reads, ever since arriving in Rome, you've had nightmares about being betrayed. You try to assure yourself that they are only dreams. Test will. Okay, his willpower is 4, so we're going to get 4 dice for him. All right. Here's his test. And he has 2 successes. All right, so let's continue on with the read. If you pass, the nightmares stop. Improve will. That is awesome. We'll give him an improvement token, moving his will up to 5. That's outstanding. Okay, Gloria Goldberg is at the moon, and I'm going to have her attempt a research action. All right, the moon is a wilderness location, so we'll read the wilderness portion. It says, a young boy sleeping in the crook of a tree on the side of the road disappears before your eyes. Test observation -1. Okay, well, she has an observation level of 3. And once again, she's blessed, so we'll be using the blue dice. I'll see if there's any other modifiers that might apply. No, nothing that's going to change any of the dice rolls. So we have 2 dice, and we'll be using the blue blessed dice. Here's the roll. We have 1 success. Awesome. That says if you pass, you find a map of the dreamlands that he left behind. Gain the clue. Excellent. So she's going to gain the clue, and we are going to apply that to the Master of Dreams mystery. Now, unfortunately, that's also going to cost her a sanity, so that will move her sanity down from 3 down to 2. That's a little dangerous. And finally, we'll move on to Tommy Muldoon. He's in Dilathaline. He is also going to be conducting a research encounter. Dilathaline is a city, so we'll read the city portion. It says, you come across a daytime sleepwalker and attempt to dispel the unusual affliction. Lore -1. Well, unfortunately, Tommy Muldoon is not a student of the arts. So he has a lore of 2, and that means he's only going to get 1 die. And he does have a focus token, so maybe that will help. Here's the roll. He rolls a 3. He's going to spend his focus and try to re-roll it. Okay, here we go. And he's done it. He's got a 5. He has done it. It says, if you pass, you end up with a new member of your entourage. Gain 1 character unique asset. All right, well, he didn't gain the clue, but he does get a character unique asset. And he gains the character unique asset, Hildred Castiagne. All right, ally character. When you gain this card from the deck, gain 5 clues. That's absolutely awesome. 5 clues. So we're going to give Tommy Muldoon 5 clues. It's absolutely amazing, but this Hildred has some type of reckoning effect, and it says that Castiagne's behavior grows erratic. Flip the card, and so if we have a reckoning effect, I would imagine we're going to lose a lot of those clues, but we'll see what happens. Okay, we're going to move on to the Mythos phase, and that will be executed by Daisy Walker, our lead investigator. And she draws the card, Shattered Magic. We're going to begin with an Omen track movement. It's going to move it from blue to red. And unfortunately, we have 2 red gates open that will move our Doom track from 6 down to a very dangerous 4. So we're quickly running out of time. Next, we're going to go through our reckoning effects once again. Okay, we begin with the monster reckoning effects. We've got this zombie horde, and we know on a roll of 1 or 2, it's going to move the Doom track down 1, so we'll have to hope we get lucky. We've rolled a 3, so we did get lucky for the moment. That's the first of a few of those. Next is the Honored Dead at the Pyramids, and that says on a roll a die, a 1 or 2, the nearest investigator gains a cursed condition. Okay, so here's the roll. We've rolled a 4, so we're good with that one. And we have a leopard man in the heart of Africa. He does not have any reckoning effects, so I think that is all of the monsters. Once again, the Ancient One's reckoning effect will kick in, and each investigator has to move a space closer to the Dreamlands. So I will do it. We'll have Daisy Walker move there. We'll have Mark Harrigan move there as well. And Gloria Goldberg and Tommy Muldoon are already in the Dreamlands, so no problems there. We have no active Mythos cards, so we'll go to possessions and conditions. All right, Daisy Walker has a righteous boon condition. It says you may flip this card, and she will do it this time. And that says Silver Twilight Alliance. The sound of chanting fills the dark room. Getting the Order of the Silver Twilight Lodge to assist you in this ritual has surely used up every last bit of your good karma. When the ritual ends, you know the world is a safer place. Close one gate of your choice on any space or retreat doom by 1, then discard the card. Well, I think we're going to retreat the doom. So that card will be discarded, and we're going to retreat the doom by 1. That'll move it back to 5. That is fantastic. Mark Harrigan has no reckoning effects with him. Gloria Goldberg has a few, and one of them is the Enchant Weapons Glamour spell. It says we're supposed to test lore and then flip the card. Her lore is a 4, so I'll have her roll 4 dice, and she gets to roll 4 of the blessed dice. So we'll roll 4 of those. And she rolls 1 success. Flipping the card with 1 success, it says, controlling the magic is stressful. Lose a sanity. She's down to 1 sanity. Oh boy, that is not good. Next, we're going to have to roll to see if she can preserve her blessed condition. On a 1 or 2, she'll have to discard the card. She's rolled a 5 or a 6, so she gets to keep it. That's fine. And finally, we have Tommy Muldoon. He has 1 card, and that's that Hilfred Castiagne. But I believe he got this during the current reckoning phase. I'm going to have to look back. No, he did not. That was during his encounter phase. So we'll have to resolve this Hildred Castiagne card. It says his behavior is becoming erratic. Flip the card. It says most of what this strange little man says is insane drivel. But sometimes his words prove eerily insightful. Roll a die and resolve the matching effect. Okay. And here's the roll. Result is a 3, and that says lose a sanity. Okay, so he'll have to lose a sanity in the process, and that is going to complete the reckoning effects. So we're going to draw the top gate from the gate stack, and this time it is in Relay, space 3. And we place that gate in space 3, and Amigo is placed there as well. We'll move on to the event, and that reads, you believed you could harness the power of these mysterious treasures. You were wrong. Now they lie in ashes, consumed by their own strange energies. In the end, they were nothing more than fuel to hasten the coming catastrophe. Shattered magic. Each investigator discards half of his magical possessions, then advance doom by 1 for each artifact discarded in this way. Oh my goodness, that is not good. Well, we'll go through each of our investigators. Daisy Walker does not have any magical possessions. She has a spell, but that's not a magical possession. Mark Harrigan has an item weapon and an item, so he is in the clear. Gloria Goldberg does not possess any magical possessions. And finally, Tommy Muldoon. He does not have any magical possessions. I'm going to check the rule book to see what magical possessions constitutes. If those are spells, then we've got a different story. So I'm going to check that out. Well, the text for possessions reads, an investigator's possessions include his clue tokens, travel tickets, asset cards, artifact cards, and spell cards. So I don't know if spells are considered magical possessions. It doesn't have the word magic on it, so I'm going to investigate a little further. Yeah, I can't find anything. I mean, obviously a spell you would associate with magic. I mean, there's just no way around that. But I can't find anything directly that says a spell is considered a magic. I guess it is, because that's what a spell is magic. So if that's the case, each investigator discards half of his magical possessions. Well, Daisy Walker has one spell, and I don't know if that's rounded up or down. Yeah, it does say under rounding, if an effect announces half of a number, round up to determine the final number. So in this case, Daisy Walker will have to discard her Arcane Insight, if that's correct. Nothing for Harrigan. Gloria Goldberg has 3 spells, so she would have to discard 2 of them. And I guess I'll discard the Enchant Weapon and the Instill Bravery. So we're going to have to move the Doom track down a total of 3, if that is correct. And if so, that will move us down to 1 on the Doom track, which is not good. Unfortunately, I don't know if this card's not worded very well. It says magical possessions. Then advance the Doom 1 for each artifact discarded this way. Now it says the word artifact. Each artifact. So in that case, then I guess it would not happen. We'll have to discard the spells maybe, but we don't have to move the Doom. I think that makes sense because it says 1 for each artifact discarded. Well, we have no artifacts, so I think that is how it's going to play out. I hope that's right. And so that is going to bring the turn to a close, and I think we're going to bring this video to a close as well. And we will regroup for episode 3. And we'll continue on with our playthrough of Eldritch Horror against Hypnos. Thanks for watching, and as always, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club wishing everyone a pleasant evening. Good night.